Hey parents, with this video we're going to dig into something that unfortunately when we see it happen with our little ones, it really hits us right in the heart. We're going to talk about developmental delays here today, and what we're really going to do is we're going to break down the root cause of them far further, far deeper than the pediatrician does, and maybe even your pediatric OT/PT speech therapy and developmental team does. See, what happens for families when they get into this world of developmental delays is, first off, you've got a lot of questions. You're really wondering, hey, what's going on? What's causing this? Why did this happen? How do we get it back on track, right? Those last two questions are probably the most important. Why is this happening? And what can we do? How do we get our child back on track developmentally? We're going to answer those questions with this video right here. And it's also really, really hard to make sense of everything when your child is in this developmental delay. So troubles with walking, troubles with talking, troubles with their social emotional development, and some other things we'll break down here. It's also really hard because you end up seeing multiple specialists for this. Once it's really identified that there is a developmental delay for your child, which unfortunately is often missed by your standard pediatrician checkups, they really oftentimes miss these neurodevelopmental, especially things like sensory processing, motor development delays, and other components. They really miss them often for months at a time before they identify them, and then they make the referral, right? So it's early intervention if your child is under 3 in most states, or you're going to PT, you're going to OT, you're going to speech, you're seeing a developmental therapist. If it's bad enough and they're thinking autism, maybe it's even ABA already and those sort of things. But the truth of the matter is, speaking of delays, it takes a long time to get this all figured out. It takes a long time to get started and to get to this appointment and that appointment and this appointment. So this video is perfect for you, mom and dad, if you already know your child has some developmental delays and you're doing all the therapies and you're doing everything right. Oh, I hear this all the time in our clinic when we're taking a case history. Hey, we've got physical motor challenges and we're working with PTOT and we've seen some changes, but we're not all the way there yet. We've got speech and communication challenges and we're seeing some changes, but we're kind of stuck. We're at a plateau. We've got this sensory stuff, these meltdowns, these tantrums, these behavioral issues, and we're in therapy for them, but we're stuck. We're plateaued. We want to see bigger changes. Or maybe this video is finding you, I pray, earlier, and you're looking at your child yourself. You haven't even necessarily had them be diagnosed or identified yet with a developmental delay, and you're early in the process and you're looking to figure out, hey, those same two questions. Why is this happening? What's going on here? And most importantly, what can we do to get our child back on track? Let's break it down. Let's get into the science and let this roll. First off, developmental delays are not just bad luck. The vast majority of the time, there is something beyond genetic. Now, true genetic neurological disorders are the most obvious of ones. Trisomy 18, Downs, and these sort of challenges are absolutely, there's genetic challenges with, say, muscular function and other functions in kiddos that is going to increase their likelihood, and in many genetic challenges, kind of give them a guarantee of a developmental delay. We're not talking about those special needs cases, although my heart, that's a big part of our practice. We serve the special needs population and we maximize their development and their quality of life like none other. But with this video, we're really breaking down into what optimal development should be, what causes it, what triggers it to go off track, and then finding the root cause is the number one thing we need to do to get it back on track. So the reason so many kids have developmental delays today so often starts way before the delay actually shows up and can be identified. Hey, they skipped crawling. They're delayed in their walking. They are of a certain age and we think they should be talking yet. And in fact, I want to sneak in one more important thing with this video. It's not just the season or kind of the space on the calendar that a child should, right? As a parent, we really love that word, should be doing X, Y, and Z. But the one thing I really want to draw you into is the sequence or the order with which a child develops, when you really know neurodevelopment and neurodevelopmental biology and neurology like we do, you know that it's not just where they are on the calendar that matters, but what order. Do they go in the right order and the proper sequence for brain and overall health development later on? Because see, just breaking this point down one more notch here, every kid is different. That should be an obvious statement. I don't even need to put into this video. Or if you love this video, by the way, there is an entire article with tons of graphs and tons of things on it that you want to go to our website. I'm sure the link is here. The link is in our bio, but the website's easy, pxdocs.com, and find the article about developmental delays, milestones, and all this sort of stuff. But here's the truth. We all know every kiddo is different. Your child might have been born early. Your child might have had a traumatic birth. We're going to break that down next as the most overlooked, under-identified cause of developmental delays and neurological disorders in kids for a long time now. Maybe they're huge. Maybe you had a 10-pound baby with that quadruple-sized bowling ball for a head, and they're trying to figure out how to walk with this bowling ball on top of their neck. You're like, does that even matter? It absolutely matters. I've been in a pediatric practice, the busiest, largest pediatric chiropractic practice in the world for 15 years, specializing in this stuff, and bigger, taller, heavier kiddos take longer to go through their developmental and motor milestones because they've got more they need to work with. I could give you 50 more scenarios that naturally are going to change that child's developmental arc, and they should. It shouldn't be a concern. It shouldn't be a red flag for so many of these kiddos just because by 18 months they didn't. So I really want you to know is that the sequence or order with which your child develops is a bigger deal than when they hit these milestones. And so if your child skipped crawling, if your child is not sleeping, if your child has digestive challenges, if your child's immune system is a mess, they're going to have challenges with the things that come next. Behavioral regulation, emotional regulation, socialization, communication. These are going to be challenges for a child who missed or was significantly delayed on other milestones as we go through. So the last piece of this video, we got to break it down, is we said we'd really break down what triggers developmental delays. It's not genetics. It's not bad luck. And my goodness, I love you, parent to parent. Please take a lean back into your chair. Give yourself a big hug and a high five, and know this. It's not bad parenting either. This is not supposed to be your specialty. You are not supposed to be able to do a developmental assessment and neurological examination on your kiddo and find every little hint. You weren't supposed to know that tons and tons of stress and anxiety during your pregnancy and a forceps or a vacuum or a C-section or an induction birth was going and could significantly trigger neurological stress that moves the child's nervous system into what's called fight or flight protection mode. And you probably didn't take as many seminars and nerdy neurological courses as I did to learn this phrase, which really brings this video all together. You can't be in growth and protection at the same time. Our children are supposed to massively be in growth and development mode those first many weeks, months, and especially the first 3, 5, 7 years. And the number one thing that gets them off track and leads to developmental delays is when they're stuck in what's called a sympathetic fight or flight neurological storm. Now, we call this the perfect storm because so often we take a case history that looks like this. The mama was stressed out, anxious, crazy busy, maybe high-risk pregnancy during the fertility and pregnancy journey. So her nervous system was stuck in fight or flight. Her nervous system was shifted into sympathetic dominance, and the child and mom share that umbilical cord. That's the power cord. That's the neurological connection. So baby is a hitchhiker on mom's nervous system during that developmental phase. And then the second biggest trigger we find in case histories all the time of children with developmental delays is birth trauma. Birth interventions like forceps, vacuum, C-section, and induction wreak havoc on the areas of the neck and the brainstem and the upper cervical spine that control neuromotor, tone, and coordination. So motor milestones are crucial for development. The same nerve up here called the vagus nerve, which is so easily and often injured during birth interventions, and then it can lead to torticollis and plagiocephaly and chronic ear infections and colic and constipation and eczema and all these sort of things. But that vagus nerve controls digestion and immune health development as well. And finally, the vagus nerve is a sensory nerve to our eyes and our ears and our mouth. and the vagus nerve and all of this air traffic control that is governed in the upper cervical area and injured by birth interventions and birth trauma, it controls our socialization, our emotional and behavioral regulation, and our communication and word formation as well. So everything with development is controlled in the brainstem and the upper cervical spine and the vagus nerve. And so when that's injured, when that's dysfunctional, or what we call is subluxated, then everything shifts into that sympathetic dominance. The kiddo gets stuck there in fight or flight protection mode and doesn't spend enough time in growth and development mode, which looks like sleep, which looks like proper digestion, which looks like awesome immune function, which looks like perfect motor tone and coordination and developmental windows, and then speech, communication, socialization, behavioral, emotional regulation, and later on cognition. You can learn about every step of development inside the article that goes along with this video. You can learn everything you need to learn about stress during the pregnancy, birth intervention and trauma, the vagus nerve and the brainstem, and how this all links. But I want to leave you. I know I've been talking a lot of nerdy stuff, a lot of important stuff, and a lot of things I know you've been looking for these nerdy answers for. Hopefully they're coming across as simple and as easily understandable as can be. Please ask a question or send us a DM wherever you're watching this video. If you have questions from this that you still need answered, all you need to do is ask them. This platform, this practice exists to serve patients with empowerment, education, and information first that then leads to the action to get your child healthy. So speaking of that action, let me show you the first step we do as neurologically focused pediatric chiropractors to find out what's really causing a child's developmental delays. We run a series of 3 different neurosensory or neurodevelopmental exams. Simply put, these are stress tests for your child's nervous system. So what we're looking at here on my iPad is we're looking at an EMG, a surface neurospinal EMG of a 3-year-old who was experiencing significant developmental delays. He was a motor mess. His digestion and immune system was a mess. He wasn't sleeping very well, and therefore speech, behavior, and emotional regulation were a mess as well. We call it the perfect storm, and this little dude was struggling with all of it. So we look to our scans and our exam to find the root cause, where the central and autonomic nervous system is jammed up and stuck. And so what you're looking at over here on the right is you'll actually see what we call the optimal scans, okay? So these scans, when they're all white, all balanced side to side, and right here you'll see that it takes this pear or this vase shape. This here is the core, so it should be strong. And for this little guy, if we follow that, so that's the optimum, and we come all the way down here, you can see where these signals, we call it signal collapse, go in. So his core is weak neurologically. So what this family was looking to do, ooh, I have bad handwriting there, is looking to do PT and home exercises all the time to strengthen his core. They had tried kinesio tape and so forth, but that core remained weak even after 3+ years of PT, because subluxation creates that tension on the nervous system, creates that confusion, and creates that exhaustion. The other thing, so that's actually the secondary effect. So a weak core affecting your child's development and motor system is actually secondary to tension on the system. And really for this little guy, he's got it throughout his system. So this is called the amplitude scan. And what you see is this whole series of reds and colors on his EMG scan means his nervous system is completely shifted, stuck in fight or flight. So we add all this up, and what's so cool about our technology, which just really, and we work in tandem, by the way, with your PT, with your OT, with your speech therapist. And once a child gets adjusted and we can fix the stuff you're seeing here on the scan, they then soar and create so much momentum with their therapies as well. But what we're looking at with this child right here is his total energy being a 409. This exam is done at rest while the child is sitting in our office completely relaxed. And he has 4 times as much energy, neuromuscular tension, and stress stuck in his system. So that is a full gas pedal shift which is the same thing as saying the brake pedal isn't working. And then finally, this pattern score. Now, this score being low because he has tension in his neck and shoulders, and then a weak core, the pattern score goes low. And pattern is a nerdy neurological chiropractic word for neuro-core stability and coordination. And so what we see all the time for children with developmental delays is we see the case history we discussed here in this video with stress during pregnancy, birth intervention, all sorts of early childhood, colic, sleep issues, constipation, torticollis, plagiocephaly. But we see even further that the root cause of all of that, and then the developmental delays and neuro challenges later on in life, are all coming from stress, subluxation, and tension stuck on that nervous system. We can measure that stress on your child's autonomic and central nervous system in a completely non-invasive 10 to 15 minute exam. That piece of technology and the two others that we use called thermal scans and HRVs, you can learn all about those on the website as well, inside the article, all about developmental delays. This technology helps parents and other providers. Like I said, we work in tandem. This is just contrasting all the different options that are out there. Once you get a neurologically focused chiropractor on your team, making adjustments to calm that stress and reorganize that coordination and that pattern and rebuild that neuromuscular function, guess what happens with their speech therapy results? Through the roof. Guess what happens with their developmental PT, OT work? Through the roof. Guess what happens with the teachers? They can finally have a child who is calm enough and regulated enough to learn. Their results go through the roof. You can take this onto athletic performance later on in life, and their motor system goes through the roof. It all starts with identifying the actual, true, all the way deep down root cause of developmental delays. No one does that like neurologically focused pediatric chiropractors. If you are local to us, after you read that article, after you learn all about this stuff even more, if you need more information, that's what those articles, that's what our website, pxdocs, is for, pxdocs.com. Go there, learn more, find out as soon as you're ready to get help, get to the root cause for your child. If you're local to us, you'll find us there. And if you're not, don't worry. All this nerdy stuff, all this technology, all these clinical protocols to take care of this stuff and get a child back on track. I've taught it to thousands of chiropractors as well. And you can put your city or zip code inside of our directory and find a doctor who does the same work we do local to you. I really hope this video helped you out. Please tag another parent. Please put it inside of a Facebook group if you're in there where other parents are trying to figure out these developmental delays and these sensory challenges for their kiddos. Please comment below if you found this helpful. Like it, share it, send it far and wide. Parents deserve to learn all about the real root cause of developmental delays, and finding them and then fixing those is how we get those kiddos back on track to exactly how God designed them, exactly what they deserve, which is meeting, surpassing, and exceeding their potential. And it's the coolest thing ever to find a kiddo who got off track, get these scans, get these adjustments into their nervous system, see them get back on track, catch up, and absolutely crush it in life. It's our favorite thing ever. This was a pretty long, pretty nerdy video. Any questions you may have, need more detail, need more of the science, need more of anything, send us a DM, ask a question. We're here for you for drug-free help, hope, answers, and help always. We'll see you on the next one.